Hello everybody, welcome back to A Person's Haven. My name is Lindsay. I wanted to share this video with you guys and talk about it. It's a new recipe that I tried and it turned out fairly well. As you guys know, my husband and I are both trying to eat less carbs in our lives. And one comment that my husband made to me one time is how he really misses having a bun with hamburgers or pulled pork or sloppy joe or something like that. So I decided I was going to find a recipe to make low carb hamburger buns. So the first ingredient that I just put in the bowl for these buns is almond flour. The next ingredient that I'm opening up right here is coconut flour. Now, this is the first time that I've used coconut flour, and I was surprised. It does smell like coconuts, but it was all super hard and clumped together, which was a little disappointing because I thought it was going to be fluffy. The last dry ingredient of these rolls or buns is baking powder. So once all of the dry ingredients were measured, skipped ahead of myself, sea salt is the last ingredient. And once they're all measured, I got a new bowl and started measuring the wet ingredients. So the first wet ingredient is melted butter. So I took my half a stick of butter, I put it in my bowl, and I melted it in the microwave. Once that was melted, I then added regular sour cream to my bowl. This recipe did call for either Greek yogurt or sour cream. I had sour cream, so that's what I used. The next wet ingredient to go into this is eggs. This recipe calls for 3 large eggs. I use Great Value eggs, but you could certainly use homegrown eggs from chickens that you have as well. And once the eggs are in there, we add some apple cider vinegar. And that concludes all of the wet ingredients. And from my understanding, after I read through the recipe multiple times, the apple cider vinegar will react to the baking powder when the wet and dry ingredients are combined, which is what gives the buns their fluff or their volume to turn them into what looks like a bun. So once I have these wet ingredients incorporated, I do add them into the dry ingredient bowl. And it is very surprising to me. I thought the dough texture was going to be similar to a bread dough since we were making a bread, but it's definitely not a tacky dough that you are used to with breads where you knead and roll. It's, to me, more like a cookie dough. So once this is all incorporated, I start making my balls, which I put onto my sprayed cookie sheet, which I also have parchment down on. This recipe says that you can get 6 rolls or 6 buns out of this one recipe. And that is what I went by. So I did end up getting 6 buns out of this recipe. Now, when we did break it down to the total number of carbs, they were actually higher than I thought. I believe they were around 18. But if you're counting net carbs, that's why this is considered a low carb recipe, because the net carbs are 4, which some people don't count net carbs, some count total carbs. So depending on what you're counting will depend on if this would be a good recipe for you or not. So after I roll these out and kind of flatten them down, I do sprinkle some sesame seeds onto the top. You certainly don't have to. To me, they did not add any extra flavor. they just mainly made a mess. So once this is done, as you'll see here in a minute, I will put them in the oven. We did bake them for 22 minutes, and I did check them after the 22 minutes, and they were perfectly brown on the bottom. The tops were fluffy, so I chose to take them out, and I put them on a cooling rack afterwards, which I did not show, and I just let them cool. The recipe does say to allow it to fully cool before you try eating them. Now these rolls we ate with pulled pork this night, but we also tested them out with cold meat sandwich and hamburger as well. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something, and maybe you found a new recipe that you can try with your family or with yourself if you're just trying to eat less carbs. Hopefully you'll come back, and if you did like this video, push the thumbs up button, subscribe, and we will see you next time. Have a great night, everybody.